Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nature's Calls podcast. As always, I am your host, Nature Erdman, here to talk to you about all things Chargers football. Now, today we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to talk not exclusively Chargers football. We're going to talk about the NFL landscape as a whole by ranking the teams. And these aren't just ranking them 1 through 32. This is based off of kind of the tier that I think that they fall in. So I've got 8 tiers broken out for all 32 teams, and we're going to walk through them piece by piece. Now, before you start getting upset at me by seeing your team's ranking, let me at least give you a reason to be upset first. They're not exclusively ranking where the teams are because these are based off of their limitations or strengths or etc. You'll see as the show goes on. However, I will say that my bias in here is very strong. These are my opinions. If you don't want to hear my opinions, then you're listening to the wrong podcast, watching the wrong video. But I have a reason for everything that I say, for the most part. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at some teams here. So, starting from the bottom here, because it's more fun that way, let's start with my favorite tier of the bunch, which is, what is the plan? Seriously, guys, let's start from the very bottom here. I have the Saints as the worst team in the league right now, with the what is the plan category, predominantly because for years now they have been recycling their cap space over and over and over again without finding themselves in any position at all to make some kind of run or rebound or rebuild or bounce back. Like, they have aging stars and defensive players. Their offensive line, they've been trying to build around. They drafted a quarterback who they're not playing. Spencer Rattler looked okay, but like behind by a full second the entire game. Like, everything he did was correct, but it was behind the entire time. They are trading draft capital for aging wide receivers. I don't care if he's a second-year player. He's an aging wide receiver. Like, it doesn't make sense. What's the plan? Your best offensive weapon is an aging Alvin Kamara. Like, Chris Olave could not die. Don't take that too seriously, but could have to retire at any given time. Like, what is the plan? You tell me. Panthers. What is the plan? Now, at least they have a little bit more clear vision as how to move forward, but your stud running back that you drafted to ease the burden off of Bryce Young, don't know when or if he'll play again, and will he look anything like his old self? Jonathan Brooks has absolutely fallen apart. Bryce Young looks not good. Looks absolutely not good. Like, yes, he was a flash in the pan, and I think he's going to have moments of greatness because I think he could actually be a solid quarterback, but his height limitation is a legitimate thing, and his mobility is not that of Kyler Murray's. Like, and it's a real thing. He looks like he cannot see the defense out there. He looks like he cannot see where his offensive players are on the field. He looks very limited, and I don't know how you're going to overcome that, and you're probably going to fall to the top of the draft again, and I don't know if there's a clear vision for how this team proceeds. Cleveland, what is the plan? Now, I think they're finally getting away from the Deshaun Watson contract. I think that's got 2 more years left, but they're making their way out of it. You've got Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in the world, on a team that absolutely cannot contend in any way, shape, or form. The offensive fireworks can be fun. They have skill. Like, the Browns are weird because they don't really have that bad of a roster. They have a very confusing quarterback situation. They're going to play huck-a-chuck-a football all year long. The offensive weapons seem to be okay. Not top tier by any means, but seem to be okay. And yet, they're the Browns. They do Browns things. It makes no sense. Like, they were the better team in that Bengals game most of the game, and yet they lost because of kicking woes. And I've been there. Don't worry, we're Chargers fans. We've all been there. But I just look at them and how do you get out of this? What direction do you move in to get away from this dilemma that you're in? And the Miami Dolphins have fallen to the what is the plan tier. Like, this is a dumpster fire of a team. Mike McDaniel seems like he wants to be an offensive coordinator again. He legitimately seems like he does not want to be a head coach in the NFL again. Like, if Devon Achane didn't score on that jet sweep from 11 yards out on 4, like, what is the plan? Tyreek Hill is taking every opportunity he can to badmouth Tua. or at least throw shade without bad-mouthing him. Jalen Waddle continues to get dinged up. He's probably their best piece on offense. Devon Achane is made of glass. Tua Tagovailoa could have to retire at any given time. Like, what's the plan? I would feel for Dolphins fans if they weren't so inept most of the time. But if you're a fan of any of these four teams, I am sorry for you, and I hope you have a better idea of what the plan is than me. Now, my next tier is the whole team is limited. So the Jags are weird for me because very similar to the Browns, like they have a quarterback. Like I really want to put them in one of the tiers up, which is a little bit more limited by their quarterback, but the rest of the team also seems to make no sense. I'm not sold on Liam Cohen as a head coach. The Travis Hunter pick seemed like a vanity pick to me. To trade up and get him seems a little bit odd. I don't think that their team is there enough, but their team is quite solid. Like Brian Thomas, like it's young and full of decent studs across in intermittent places, but I watch them play football, and I just don't look at them as a team that is going to be successful or go anywhere. Like I just don't. Now they could astonishingly win the division. I'm not putting that beyond us, but that just says more about the division than they are. They could be in a lot of these tiers. They were probably one of the hardest teams for me to peg somewhere. Now, next up, actually below them, is the San Francisco 49ers. And same thing with the Jaguars. Like, they are so damaged. Like, they're so hurt. Their injuries have piled up on them so much. Trent Williams is getting to a certain age. Their wide receiver room is a complete and total disaster. George Kittle is now out. Brock Purdy is obviously a limited quarterback. Kyle Shanahan can only overcome so much, and he's shown his faults along the way. Their defense has obviously weakened with just the fact that they can't afford to pay everybody. They drafted and built such a legitimate team that now that team isn't necessarily there anymore. It looks like they missed Deebo Samuel on offense. The whole team is limited, and if it's a lot of it comes to attrition. But I just don't see. I don't care if they beat the Seahawks. It's just I can't see this team doing enough. Now, their schedule might save them because their schedule is so soft this year. But oh boy, in terms of the whole NFL, I don't see it going anywhere. Raiders below them. This has more to do with roster than anything else. I actually think that what they're cooking over there makes sense. They've got some good pieces on defense. Obviously, Max Crosby, their secondary is getting really nice and solid. Jamal played really well from the linebacker position, which is what he should have been playing his entire career. Geno Smith is a fine quarterback, especially if he's inside. If he's outside in open air, he's a completely different quarterback. He has a lot of dome games this year. I could see him winning some games. Aston Jeanty is obviously a stud. Brock Bowers is obviously a stud. But the rest of it, the whole team as a whole is limited. I don't think there's one specific thing tearing them down. Now, if the roster was a little bit more well-rounded, I think Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll are very fine coaches for their positions in the NFL. Then I could probably see them in the limited by their quarterback area, but right now I would say the whole team is limited. And the New York Giants as well. I like the way that they're building a roster. They've definitely tried to invest in the offensive line over and over again. They have good young players at running back. Scadabo's fine. Tyrone Tracy I really like as a gadget player. I think he can do a lot for an offense that's clearly not at that caliber yet. Like, if you need to be able to dominate the lead, he's not going to be able to do that for you. But from playing from behind, which they'll do a lot, he's excellent. I like Jackson Dart. I really like the pieces that they've gotten along their edge and their defensive line. They're just not there yet. And the whole team is limited enough that they're going to put them in that bottom area. Now, I know I went through that tier a little bit backwards. We're going to go into the next tier. We're going to start from the far right because that is technically still going from the bottom up. So sorry for a little bit of confusion for my video audience. Next tier is definitely limited by their quarterback. Now, bottom of this pile, I have the New York Jets. I know that they played very well. I know that Justin Fields played very well. And if there's anyone in this tier, in this list that could really make me eat my words, the Jets might be one of them. Because they looked so good. Breece Hall looked back. Their receivers are legit. Their offensive line is solid. Their defense is obviously still stout. Aaron Glenn seems to know what he's doing. But there's no way that you can tell me that Justin Fields is going to carry them to the promised land. And if he does, I will be so apologetic. I loved Justin coming out of college. I thought he was going to be more successful than he is, but obviously the position that he was in was not ideal. But if we continue to get Justin Fields playing almost perfect games the way that he did, I would be surprised, to say the least. Seahawks. I am sorry, Seahawks fans. I truly, truly am. I think Sam Darnold is a fine quarterback who is in the perfect offensive system with an offensive head coach who is excellent at maximizing his quarterbacks. And I think that's exactly who Sam Darnold was. I think he's better than he was as a New York Jet, and I think he's worse than he was as a Minnesota Viking, and I think that that's okay. He belongs in this league. But, oh boy, like the contract that you gave him, why are you doing the Geno Smith thing again? You just saw how that turned out, and your team was better around him. And honestly, they could probably be in the whole team is limited category because I do think their offensive line is still struggling. Grey Zabel was absolutely the right pick for them. They've got JSN. DK Metcalf's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. I think Cooper Kupp's still got some gas in the tank, but I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. You know what? Looking back on this, probably should be a whole team is limited because I just don't see it. Now, their offense could be fun. Don't get me wrong. And their defense is ascending, but I just do not see this team being able to make a difference. Chicago Bears, after that Monday night disaster, are definitely limited by their quarterback. Now, you could say that they have weaknesses elsewhere. You're absolutely right. But the visible frustration amongst that coaching staff and Caleb Williams and that team and the pressure that's getting to him. I'm sorry, Bears fans. He was supposed to be the chosen one. And I don't think that there's any world now that he ends up being the level of prospect that you drafted. Now, could he still turn into a great, very good quarterback? Maybe, probably. But you're pushing it. You're pushing it. And Bears fans, I know your guys' patience is wearing thin. And definitely limited by their quarterback, the Indianapolis Colts. And they are probably the poster child of definitely limited by their quarterback. And shoot me, I know Daniel Jones played very well. Do we think that he can continue to play to that caliber? Who knows? Their defense is that good. Their offensive line is that good. Jonathan Taylor is that good. I like DJ Giddens. The weapons aren't fantastic, but you have every position that you need filled. Like Downs is solid across the middle of the field and intermediate routes. Can go deep. Michael Pittman's a big body. Fills that role. I know people still love A.D. Mitchell. Can't tell me why, but they do. Alec Pierce is a legitimate deep threat. Like their team is constructed so well. It's not like a haymaker on offense. I think those weapons are very solid, but they're not top tier by any means. You don't have an absolute difference maker on the offensive side of the football besides Jonathan Taylor. But if there's any world where you can see Daniel Jones carrying this team to winning playoff games, you're seeing a different Daniel Jones across your time than I have. I think he's in his Mitch Trubisky era where the Bears traded for Khalil Mack and they were a legitimate team, but limited by their quarterback. They could only go so far. I think that's exactly where this Colts team is right now. And the next tier is, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, limited by not their quarterback. And this is the most variance in the entire tier graphic. And this is exactly why. Because the Titans are not in the same tier as the Bengals. The Titans are not in the same tier as the Cowboys even. The Titans really should be a whole team is limited because there's just not enough talent there. I think they've got good bones. I like the young players on the team. Their offensive line still needs help. Their play calling desperately needs help. And Cam Ward isn't ready to go lead a team. Like, he's not there yet. But what I saw from him week 1 was solid play for a rookie, and that's okay. And so they're in this tier because I think that they have the right bones for the future. but their team is not ready to contend. That being said, the quarterback himself is also not ready to be in that point, but I do think he has the upside to get there. Very similar with the New England Patriots. I think they're going to show out better than they did on Sunday, moving forward, especially on the back half of the season. I think Drake May does look improved. I think he was fantastic last year. I think he still has top 10 quarterback in this league upside, if not more, depending on how the years shake out. I like the way that they're building the team. I don't think that they're ready yet. The entire team is still growing. Like, that defense does not look as good as I expected it to, and they have some strong pieces on that defense, but they don't have Bill Belichick anymore to get every ounce of the players out of their team. And we have to start getting used to that. That's okay. That's how 99% of teams have to be. And Bill Belichick just had a way of getting every ounce of that play out of those defensive players. And that's clearly just not the case anymore. Now, I like the direction that Vrabel's going, and I think he just needs more time to build out the team. I think right now is their Jim Harbaugh year last year for the Chargers. I think we'll see a very improved team next year. I don't think they win 10 games. I think they probably win 8 or 9. But we'll see. We'll see. They could shock us towards the end of the year. They could be a really scary team just because of the young talent they have out there. Next up is the Cowboys. And the Cowboys should probably be a tier above this. But again, I believe that they're limited by not their quarterback. I think Dak is one of the best NFC quarterbacks. That's not saying much, but when he's healthy, I don't understand the Dak disrespect. Maybe it's because he's a Cowboy. Maybe it's because he's missed games. Maybe it's because the Cowboys have always choked. But that offense should be lethal. Like, it really should be. And Dak Prescott has proven that he can put up MVP caliber numbers when he's healthy. And CeeDee Lamb, outside of those drops last game, like were in a position to beat the Eagles because they were moving the ball so well on offense. Now, their defense is going to give them problems, and their offense won't be able to click on all cylinders all the time. But they're a very high ceiling team. Like, they are a can beat anybody any given Sunday team. Could I see them making a run? No. Can I see them making the playoffs and possibly surprising a team? Yes, but they're the Cowboys, so they won't. So, I'm less of a Cowboy hater this year based off the actual quality of their team than most people are. And last but not least in this tier is the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, probably a couple tiers low based off of just ranking quality of team because their offense is so high powered. Like, it's a ridiculous team. Like, those offensive weapons with Joe Burrow and Mike Gesicki and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown, like, they have so much. They're such a fun team to watch. If I was going to go to a game, Bengals would be a fun game to visibly witness because it would be so action-packed. But their defense is so horrendous. Their offensive line is so bad. Their coaching leaves a lot to be desired. Joe Burrow, I think, puts up a lot of gaudy stats and can do a lot of things well. And then I think at times he can also miss a lot of reads and not be able to make capable throws. I think there's a lot of... I don't like Joe Burrow. I'm not going to spend this whole episode talking smack about Joe Burrow because I can and I will, but I'm going to try and avoid it. So that's where they belong to me. Yeah, limited by not their quarterback, but I don't think Joe Burrow is necessarily what you all think he is. Maybe it's my bias coming in, but that's a legitimate opinion. Next tier is probably limited by their quarterback. And this is where it gets a little hairy because I think that this is more of these teams could surprise me. Like Michael Penix, this team could be not really all that limited by their quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. That's why they're probably limited by their quarterback. Is he ready this year? I don't think so. Could I be very wrong? Absolutely. They're a very fun team to watch. I like the way that they're constructed on offense. Their defense is very solid. Their secondary is they don't really have any holes on their team, but they're not stout in any one direction, besides obviously running back. And if Michael Penix can take that next step, they could be in the wrong tier. Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy turned out in the fourth quarter. He was garbage for the first three quarters. A lot of it wasn't his fault to start, and then he started making some really bad throws. And then a switch flipped. And if he has that switch in him all the time, and this wasn't just a flash in the pan, then Vikings fans should be very excited because that team is stacked in a lot of different directions. Like, that team is very well-rounded. Jordan Addison's going to come back, and they're going to be even more well-rounded. And Kevin O'Connell is an excellent, excellent head coach. But I still think that they're probably limited by their quarterback at this time. We'll see. Give it a year or two. I could be very wrong. I think J.J. McCarthy can absolutely develop. And as long as this team keeps functioning the way that it is, I think they're going to be able to continue to construct a very strong roster around him because they've been doing it for years now. J.J. McCarthy can grow into a difference maker. They've got something cooking. Steelers. Now, that was crazy. That was vintage Aaron Rodgers. The run game makes me nervous. Jaylen Warren should probably be their lead back. Kenneth Gainwell got a lot of run. He does a lot of things well. Caleb Johnson not really getting carries early on doesn't surprise me. I thought he was a little bit more raw prospect, but I don't think that long term you're going to be able to establish the run that well with those players. And if you can't set up play action, how's Aaron Rodgers going to see the field? It's just a matter of time to me before things start to kind of crumble a little bit. That defense didn't play incredibly well, but I still think that over the course of the season, they're going to be a top-end defense in the NFL. The question comes down to, can Aaron Rodgers be this Aaron Rodgers over and over again, and what does he wear down towards the end of the season given his age? I don't think he's going to be an MVP. I think he's going to play quite well all year, and that'll be cool. I'm glad he'll go out on that note, but I don't think it's going to be a miraculous season, not in that division. I just can't see it happening. Houston Texans. This is a weird one. Could they be in the limited by not their quarterback? Probably. That defense is so solid, but those pass catchers are struggling so much. Nico Collins, I just still think CJ Stroud is probably not ready for that next step. To go into that next tier for me. I think he obviously had a fantastic rookie season, and I know he spanked us in the playoffs. I wouldn't necessarily attribute a lot of that to CJ Stroud. We were not that great of a team, and Justin Herbert had a very poor game. And there was some things that were just completely out of his control, and their defense is fantastic. Truly, that's what it is. I look at this team, and I think that they're probably limited by their quarterback. Now, he should have been the top team in this tier because the final team in this tier is obviously the Arizona Cardinals. And I just see something different with the Cardinals this year. I would be 0% surprised if they ended up winning their division. Kyler Murray's going to have that good year. I believe he's in a contract year. This is kind of make it or break it for him. Marvin Harrison Jr. is clearly taking the next step. I just think that they have some fun pieces, and then they can be an exciting enough team, plus their strength of schedule, that they can make some flashes. But do I see them going anywhere in the playoffs, competing against any of those top tier teams, like the Eagles, and really that's it in the NFC? No. The Eagles, the Packers, the Rams will give them a run for their money. The Commanders will give them a run for their money. The Lions, I just don't see them being a top tier contender in the playoffs, but I think they could be a really fun regular season team to watch, and I think they're going to surprise some people this year. And next, this is where it starts getting interesting, and this is where some people might get a little pissed off, is going to be the contender, but probably limited by their quarterback tier. Now, there's one glaring one here, and we'll get to that because I know I'm far apart from a lot of people on this, but let's start at the bottom. The Denver Broncos. That defense is stout. Those playmakers are solid enough. That rushing attack should be good. That offensive line is good. And Bo Nix just does not see the field well enough for me. Like, I would have had no problem putting him probably limited by their quarterback. The one tier down. I have him in contender, and it's probably me being biased, and also because I wanted the graph to be a little bit more even. Maybe I should honestly switch the Texans and the Broncos, because I don't know. Like, Bo Nix could snap out of it. And that's why. If this was a 3-week sample size and Bo Nix played the way he did last week on all 3 games, then he'd definitely be flip-flopped. But that team has so much weaponry, but do I legitimately see them as a contender? I do not. I just don't. Maybe it's my bias, but I don't. Detroit Lions. Obviously, the loss of the coordinators has hurt. We could see them completely bounce back this week and climb up these rankings quite a bit. But at the end of the day, they're a contender that's probably limited by their quarterback. That is absolutely the case because they were last year. And that was with the best offensive play caller in football at the time. Ben Johnson is a stud. We'll see how he does over in Chicago. Aaron Glenn was a stud defensive coordinator. You're going to have limitations with Jared Goff at your quarterback, and I think that was really shown on Sunday. It'll be fun to see them bounce back and see how they perform against not that Packers defense, which is clearly very, very solid right now. So I'm excited to see how they can kind of move this weekend, but it'll be an interesting one to watch and develop because they're absolutely a team with that schedule. Ooh, buddy, it could get ugly quick, and I hope it doesn't because they're still a fun story to me. Los Angeles Rams. Again, contender but probably limited by their quarterback. If Matt Stafford, this is injury related. Like, I still think Matt Stafford has it. Do I think his best years are behind him? Yes. Do I think he's Aaron Rodgers' stage of his career? Not yet. I think Matt Stafford still has some really good football play in him. I think they have some really solid weapons. I think their defense is stout. I think Sean McVay is an excellent football coach. But Matt Stafford's age and his back and how that's going to affect him throughout the year, I think is going to make or break this team. Now, if he shrugs it all off behind him, absolutely he's towards the top of this list. But, and I wouldn't say that they're limited by their quarterback if he gets that all behind him. But with everything that we've seen and all the concerns that everybody had, I do think that's a legitimate problem for this team. But if he is 100% healthy and still has the same juice as he did a year or two ago, then they're in that next tier of true contenders. Washington Commanders, I just think it's CJ Stroud again. Like, sophomore slumps for quarterbacks is a real thing. And now some people break out of it, and some people only have a rough few games, and you're still going to beat up on the poorly coached, poor defenses teams. You are, absolutely. But the better defensive teams, with the defensive coordinator who has a year of film on you and all those players who have a year of film on you, you're not so much of a surprise anymore. And I really think it's going to be a lot like CJ Stroud's second year. I think that there's a little bit more, I guess, just competency on the entirety of the team than CJ Stroud had last year for the Houston Texans. I think that they both have very similar makeup about them, like mentally, that's going to allow them to shrug off and fight through. Like, I think they're both great young men who have good mental makeup to them, good confidence and everything else. But I just expect it to not quite be the lightning in a bottle season they had last year, because the team turnaround that happened when he hit that Hail Mary versus the Bears and then go on that run afterward, I've never seen anything like that in a single turnaround in the NFL season. And I think that that's going to come crushing down to earth just a little bit. And the one that's probably going to piss some people off after the 2 games of football that we've seen is the Green Bay Packers. I will say it. I will keep saying it over and over and over again. Jordan Love is not that good to me. I watch him play football and it's just not impressed. Like, Matt LaFleur is an excellent offensive coordinator. He's been able to do a lot of incredible things. That team is very well-rounded. Very well-rounded. That defense is very strong. That offensive line is good. That running back is fantastic. They have a lot of weapons, although they're starting to see some attrition there, and they don't have a true difference maker. They have a lot of weapons that can make it work, and Tucker Kraft is legit. And eventually Matthew Golden is going to catch on, and he'll be a legitimate deep threat. Is he a true wide receiver 1? I don't believe so. Never did. But I think with Jaden Reed, when he gets healthy again, and Dontavian Wicks, and everybody else that they have on that team, Christian Watson, I think, is out but for a long time, but Romeo Doubs, like, they have so much depth. Like, they have a million wide receiver 2 and 3s that you can get by. But Jordan Love just makes mistakes. Like, he has so much arm talent, but there's so many overthrows and awkward throws and late reads and missed throws, and he just doesn't see the open man. Like, there's so much with Jordan Love that leaves me wanting. He had a few game stretch a year or 2 years ago after he beat the Chargers on that ridiculous QJ drop, which we're not going to get into, and everything else that went wrong with that game. But I just don't see him as a top tier quarterback in the NFL. Do I see him as a top 6 quarterback in the NFC? Probably, but that's just not saying much. And I might not even. Like, I don't think that Jordan Love is who so many of you think he is, and I think that's going to limit them. Now I'm running out of time a little bit, so I'm going to try and catch up here a little bit. The next tier is true Super Bowl contenders. Yeah, that's the Buccaneers. And yes, my biases are starting to show. But the Buccaneers, I think, are a true Super Bowl contender. I just don't think that they're weak in any one regard. I think Baker Mayfield has ice in his veins. The weapons are fantastic. The defense is stout. The offensive line is solid. The running game with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White is quite good. Sean Tucker is very they have so much depth and rotation throughout that entire roster. I think coaching is a big fall short for them. But I do think that they are a team that is going to continue to be steady, which is surprising for a Baker Mayfield led team. Like, that's not what he was, but that's what he is now. He's a consistent playmaker, and he's got ice in his veins, and I think they're going to be a hard out no matter who they're going up against. Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl contender. Obviously, they're still the Chiefs. Without their top tier weapons, they still gave us a run for their money. When they have their weapons, I think there's just so much voodoo magic with that team. Like, they got. When I watched the game, they appeared to get dominated by most facets of football to me, and yet they were in it at the end. And with a full complement of weapons, if that takes them up just another notch, like, they're going to be good enough. And it's so frustrating, and I cannot stand them because I watch them and they do so many frustrating things that just make them look like not a good football team to me. And yet at the end of the day, they win the games. So that's going to continue happening, and I can't stand them, but they're still in my top 5. And the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't care. I'm biased. We have no holes. We have not strengths, for sure. Our defensive line clearly had some effectivity and should improve. Jesse Minter is the closest thing to a new Bill Belichick, and the reason I say that is because he's taking these mid-tier players and getting them to play at ridiculous levels, which Bill Belichick did to an insane degree for all of his career. Jesse Minter's scheme and the way that he plays these and puts together these game plans is phenomenal. And now with Greg Roman, if he can keep up anything of what he did last game, the depth that we have, the wide receiver position to be able to move and shake around, Keenan and Ladd is a lethal combination. And then whoever's third on the team, whether it be Trey Harris, KLS, QJ, it's going to be QJ as long as he's healthy for now, unless one of the other guys goes and takes it from him. Conklin is excellent. I think that you're going to see some more 4 wide receiver sets at some point this year. But I think Conklin is going to give us the passing game side of things that we needed from the tight end position. We saw that a little bit this year. Disley's still capable. Gadsden will come on at the end of the season. If Najee is 80% of what he was with Pittsburgh, and Amari and Hampton is even just a little bit better than he was in his rookie debut, and the offensive line holds up a little bit, like, we're cooking. We have so much depth. The top end talent isn't there, but Justin Herbert's going to maximize it. We're a top 4 team to me. And last but not least, the Juggernauts. What else do you say about them? The Baltimore Ravens beat anybody on Sunday Night Football if it wasn't the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. And honestly, just Josh Allen. Like, the Ravens are such a complete team right now. Such a ridiculously complete team. Like, that 99.9 percentile chance of winning that game and then losing, which I'm sure that's not what it actually was, but oh my god, like, that team is a buzzsaw. Like, I would be terrified to face them. They do everything well, and they are not going to have a lot of games like that. I'm almost scared that they had that game early on in the season to put a chip on their shoulder. Now they're that talented, that well coached, and then they have that chip on their shoulder. Oh, buddy, watch out for the Ravens this year. Philadelphia Eagles. That team's a super team. Like, they're probably limited by their quarterback, or contender, but probably limited by their quarterback team, because Jalen Hurts is solid, but not incredible. He's very solid, but he does exactly what that team needs. The tush push is the exact play that team needs to be a juggernaut. Without it, they probably slide back a little bit, but they're so good at finding themselves in short yardage situations. Howie Roseman is an excellent general manager who has stacked this team with talent nonstop and will continue to do so. And unless it's a complete crumble by Jalen Hurts or an injury along one of the key positions, I just don't see it going anywhere. I just don't. They're just too complete of a team. And last but not least, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is wearing a cape right now and putting that whole team on his back. You take away Josh Allen, and they are a lot closer. Like if you put Josh Allen on the Colts, they're probably a better team than the Buffalo Bills right now. Like I think the rest of the Colts roster is far better than the Buffalo Bills roster. Josh Allen's just that guy. Like he's just that remarkable. It's the swagger that he has to him, putting the team on his back, doing whatever it takes, finding a way to win on a roster that I just don't think is fantastic. Like if I was sitting here having Super Bowl odds right now, I'd probably put the Ravens above them. But watching them, Josh Allen is such an unstoppable force right now that it's hard to have them anywhere but one. So that's my opinion. Let me have it. Lay into me. Some of you fans are probably pissed and annoyed, especially Green Bay fans. There's so many Green Bay faithful out here right now. There's a couple weird things in here, but I think that this makes sense. Now, all biases aside, you can move and shake this around all you want, but I don't. This is how I see the landscape of the NFL right now. And watch Justin Herbert keep this swagger and surprise a lot of people this year. I don't think we jump into that juggernauts category, but again, well coached enough, well rounded enough. You can beat anybody on any given Sunday. But those top three teams at the top, everybody below me does not scare me all that much. But the Bills, the Eagles, and the Ravens scare the piss out of me. So we'll see where this season goes. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the listen. And go Bolts. Talk to y'all soon. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys like what you heard, please feel free to give me a like and subscribe. Helps me a ton. Also helps you guys stay up to date on all new content as I'm releasing it. If you're not already on my YouTube channel, feel free to hop on over at Nature's Calls Pod. Also on Spotify under Nature's Calls Podcast. Or if you like to consume your content just by scrolling, go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter at Erdman Chargers. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Talk to you real soon.